So, jetzt wir lesen von Bhagavad Gita. Ah, Deutsch oder was war ich? Englisch oder Deutsch? Wer versteht kein Englisch? Was ist das Gewicht?
Wer spricht kein Englisch? Wer spricht kein Englisch?
1, 2. Who does not understand German from here in the audience? Oh. Übersetzung, okay. Okay, so we do it in English. We do it in English and Übersetzung wird auf Deutsch, oder?
Auf Russisch.
Auf Russisch?
Ja, bitte schön.
Und auf Deutsch, wer versteht kein Deutsch?
Wer versteht kein Deutsch?
Sorry, wer versteht kein Russisch?
Ist hier jemand, der nur Deutsch kann? Kein Englisch, kein Russisch? Okay, also.
Okay, du.
Nee, alle können entweder Russisch oder Englisch.
Alle können Russisch. Okay, dann Übersetzung auf Russisch, oder? I cannot speak Russian, so ich kann nicht Russisch. Tut mir sehr leid. So, before we read Bhagavad Gita, we'll read some verses, very famous verses from Bhagavad Gita, and very famous. Übersetzung geht's? Übersetzung? Du Übersetzung. Before we, these are very famous verses. Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, he translated Bhagavad Gita and he spoke these very verses many times. More or less every lecture Srila Prabhupada gave, he spoke this this verses, this particular group of verses of the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And the reason why Srila Prabhupada spoke these verses is because he wanted to impress the main point of understanding of spiritual life. What is spiritual life? And how does spiritual life actually works? Meaning, if we have a 1 + 1 = 3, and from these premises we make further, formulas, 3 = this, and so on, the end will be always wrong because 1 + 1 is always 2. So the Srila Prabhupada explains the beginning of spiritual life is this 1 and 1 point only. That we cannot act on the platform of the body. Platform of the body is the wrong platform to act. We can use the body in spiritual practices, but we have to understand that we are separate or different than this body. So therefore, we'll read these few verses. This is the very famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Ashochana Ashochastvam. So before we reach Bhagavad Gita, we all say this famous mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Ashochan Anashochastvam.
Ashochan Anashochastvam.
Ashochan Anashochastvam.
Ashochan Anashochastvam.
Pragyavadamscha bhashase.
Pragyavadamscha bhashase.
Pragyavadamscha bhashase.
Pragyavadamscha bhashase.
Gatasun agatasumscha.
Gatasun agatasumscha.
Gatasum agatasumscha.
Gatasun agatasumscha.
Nanushochati panditaha.
Nanushochati panditaha.
Nanushochanti panditaha.
Nanushochanti panditaha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Ashochan Anashochastvam.
Ashochan Anashochastvam.
Pragyavadamscha bhashase.
Pragyavadamscha bhashase.
Gatasun agatasumscha.
Gatasun agatasumscha.
Nanushochanti panditaha.
Nanushochanti panditaha.
Would anybody like to maybe go to this? Try.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Asochan Anashochastvam.
Asochan Anashochastvam.
Prahyavadamscha vasase.
Prahyavadamscha vasase.
Gatasun agatasumscha.
Gatasun agatasumscha.
Anusocyanti paditaha.
Nanusocyanti paditaha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Asochyani anvaso sastvam.
Asochyani anvaso sastvam.
Prajnavadamscha vasase.
Prahyavadamscha vasase.
Gatasun agatasumscha.
Gatasun agatasumscha.
Anusocyanti pandita.
Nanusocyanti pandita.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Asocyan anasocastvam.
Asocyan anasocastvam.
Pragyavadamscha vasase.
Okay, done.
Gatasun agatasumscha.
Gatasun agatasumscha.
Nanusocyanti panditaha.
Nanusocyanti pandita.
Okay, the translation of this verse goes like this. Shri Bhagavan Vacha means the persona of Godhead said. While speaking learned words, you are mourning. Okay, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So Krishna here speaks to Arjuna. This is a very interesting situation which many of us, at least once in a lifetime, see ourselves. And the position is that Arjuna was supposed to do this, engage in this battle, and he realized on the other side there's all his relatives, and he was thinking, how can I do this? I cannot fight. So then he gave so many different examples from the scriptures that why should one not fight? And as a result, Krishna speaks to him here, said, now, and he said, you are speaking learned words. I mean, you think you're a very great scholar. But actually, you are speaking from the bodily platform. This is what Krishna explains here. So this is an interesting point that Krishna first time took the position of a spiritual master to Arjuna. Before that, Arjuna was a friend with Krishna, and now Krishna becomes a spiritual master, guru to Arjuna. And guru's role of a guru is to enlighten the disciple. Oma jnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. This is the famous verse explains the spiritual masters with the torchlight of knowledge opens the eyes of the disciple, so the disciple can see this which was he was in ignorance. Ajnana. Jnana means knowledge, and ajnana means not in knowledge. And this is what is happening to Arjuna here. Arjuna was not in the knowledge. And then Krishna continues speaking these verses, 7, 8, 9, unto 20 something, several, maybe 10 or so, more than 10 verses. Krishna explains what is knowledge. What is the beginning of the spiritual knowledge? And the beginning of the spiritual knowledge is never was there a time that I did not exist, nor you, nor all these people here. This was the beginning of the spiritual knowledge. That we are all eternal. This was a shock. So whenever we read this first time, we think, wow, this is a big shock. Never was a time that we are actually eternal. Because there's a notion that we are living, and this is our life, whatever it is, our life, and then when we die, there's no more. It's over. But this is not true. Bhagavad Gita explains in the very beginning, no, you actually continue to live further. And from this, actually, there's a whole kind of ethical principles, and the way we live is based on this idea that next life is not over. You know, we can say, okay, next, I don't care, you know, this life, whatever it is, you know, as a famous philosopher called Charvaka Muni in India, he was a philosopher of materialism. And he said, somehow or other, by hook or by crook, get ghee, eat ghee and enjoy. Meaning by hook or by crook means somehow or other get your money. So we see that this philosophy was actually practiced more than 5,000 years ago, and still many people are still following this philosophy. Of course, they don't know Charvaka, but they do exactly the same. Somehow or other, get this money and enjoy, because it's over. One day it will be over. So might as well enjoy as much as we can. But Krishna says here, no, this is wrong. This is actually wrong philosophy. Very much wrong. Because in this, whatever we do in this body, this will carry us to the next body. The result also coming with us. You know, not like now, for example, we think, okay, I can steal here in Germany, and I go to Austria, nobody will know. I'm in Austria, different country. It's all new, doesn't matter. No, in Austria, well, you know, you also get arrested and say, hold on a minute, you carried your sins from Germany, so you have to pay for this. So this is a similar way, you know. Whatever we do has to be paid off by us. You know, because it may seem it's free, like when we go to the supermarket, you go to Lidl, Kaufland, with your huge wagon, and you just put all this thing in. I can also get this. It's free. Nobody's stopping me. You know, there's no guy who said you're not allowed to take this. You're allowed to take everything in Kaufland, whatever you like, and you can just pile up your cart. But then you cannot just go out. You know, you have to stop, and then this woman said, "Pip, pip, pip," and that will cost, you know, 342 euros. And you said, I didn't know. I thought it was all free. I just thought you put in the wagon and everything is free. No, it's not free. So this is exactly what's happening in this material world. We live and everything is available, and we can actually use it freely. But we have to take or suffer or enjoy the consequences of whatever we do. So therefore Krishna, when Krishna spoke this to Arjuna, this verse, Krishna was smiling, because he understood. My student is in a state of ignorance, ajnana. He does not know well. So therefore he smiled. Just like we see a child, sometimes child says something, and how many, I don't know. Can cars fly? And you just smile at child. This is ignorance. He doesn't know, or she doesn't know. So in the same way Arjuna or Krishna, as a spiritual teacher, he smiles, not laughs, but smile with compassion unto his disciple. Because when we do not understand what spiritual knowledge is, we are slightly in a mode of ignorance. And in such a way, there's a very much possibility to make mistakes. And these mistakes will carry us on to the next life. And then our next life, we may become, you know, we may acquire a body which is not as glorious as it is now. You know, there's a famous story that Srila Prabhupada says that one of the famous Prime Minister of India has become a dog in next life. It's some astrologer has seen it. And so he's become dog. And he has the same name as a dog in Sweden. You know, astrologers, they can see this, Jyotish expert. They can see these things. So imagine, one day you're a prime minister, then you die, you become a dog in Sweden. I'm sure he has a good karma in Sweden, you know, dogs are probably taken care of, not like in India. But still, not a glorious next life from the big intelligent person to become dog. And who knows after the dog's life, what is his next destination. And this is all due to ignorance. So therefore Krishna enlightens here Arjuna. He said, never was a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor anybody here. So meaning, it's not only that there's holy people, you know, understand that there's a past, a future life, past lives. Actually, everybody. It's just some people are more covered, some people are less covered. This is the whole point. Then Krishna says, how does that work? Krishna explains this famous verse as the embodied soul. So soul is embodied in the body. You know, it is inside the body. It's like a car. Prabhupada explained many, many times. It's like a driver of the car. You sit in a car, you drive the car. Without its driver, car will not go anywhere. Of course, nowadays we may have Tesla may invent something new. But even then, it's programmed by somebody. It's a human. It cannot be not programmed by anybody. The car cannot move by itself. So you sit in a car, you drive the car. So in the same way, the soul is inside of this body, and this body is driven. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridesha arjuna tishtati brahmana sarvabhutani yantra rudani maya. So this body is a yantra. Yantra means a vehicle or car. Even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So this car is a little more sophisticated than our plastic car, what we have, nowadays. Before, at least, the people made car out of metal. Now it's a plastic, carbon, whatever. So it's a sophisticated car. Car is so sophisticated they can produce another car. Imagine, you have 3 children, the 3 more cars. They produced 2 cars that produced 3 more cars. This is such a sophisticated car. And in these 3 new cars, 3 new children enter the soul, and therefore this car can move. Without the soul inside, the car cannot move. Without the driver, the car cannot move. Without the soul, the body cannot move. And this soul is eternally staying the same quality, same everything. But going through the motion as far as the body grows. And the verse says, from boyhood to youth to old age. And similarly, the soul passes into death. So death is not over. Those who are young, they were young, and they say, how old are you? I'm 2 years old and 4 months. This is very important for young children. 3 months, they always say. And for the old people, how old are you? I'm around 30, 40, something like this. And when you're after 60, nobody even asks you how old are you. Everyone knows soon he's going to the other world. Are you 60 or 80? Doesn't make much difference. You're already old. You're on the other. You pass the horizon. You're going downhill from there. And then what happened after this? For example, there's a film, the movie, and there's a big action movie, and there's a big bad guy, and you're fighting the bad guy, and finally he kills all these evil people, and his girlfriend is very beautiful, and they get together and they walk in the horizon, and movie said end, the end. But this is not the end. There's the after. Always there's after. I remember when I was young, there was some cowboy movie, and he killed all these bad guys, and this girl went with him on a horse, and they were riding, and the sun was setting. Wonderful. But I was wondering what happened after. Maybe did they get married, or maybe she said, "Oh, I don't like you," or maybe they get divorced, or I don't know, maybe something. I was always wondering as a child, what happened to these people? Did they become like my parents? What happened to them? Because there's always after. And what happened after they died? Maybe what kind of bodies did they get? So there's always after and after. So based on this premise alone, we begin our spiritual life. So, and Krishna explains a little more that these knowledge that we are the soul and not the body is not only given by the Shastra, but they are observed. Shastra means scripture. They are observed by the sages who have actually studied the nature of both. If you study the nature of the body, if you study the nature of the soul, you will actually see the difference. And Srila Prabhupada, in one of his books, he says that this is the very first step of self-realization. The very, very first step of self-realization. He said this is the essential realization for anyone who wants to transcend death and enter into the spiritual world beyond. So we must accept this fact, otherwise it will be very difficult to transcend this embodiment in the material world. Prabhupada said, it is not a simple matter of saying, I am not this body, but actually realizing it. So if you say, okay, okay, I'm passing from, but actually to realize this, it's not so easy. Because in the morning when we brush teeth, whom do we see? Ah, nice. You look very nice today. Look at this. No fountain today. Ah, wonderful. Put a little makeup and put a little cologne and you feel, oh, I'm pretty good today. So it's not easy to realize. There are people who try to do this by the artificial means. They're emaciated, they don't eat, or there was this sage who was eating bread, we put in ashes on bread, we don't enjoy, and we don't do any of these things. But we try to understand this by practice and by developing spiritual knowledge. So, Srila Prabhupada explains, he said the perfection, where is it? Prabhupada explains that the living in this material world is some kind of a, when people are intoxicated. We're intoxicated and we, I don't know, I hope none of you were intoxicated in your life. But when people are intoxicated, they talk all kinds of nonsense. They cannot really practice properly. You want to put the key in the door, but somehow it doesn't really work. The doorknob is there. You try to put the key, it doesn't go. It doesn't go this way. It doesn't go this way. And then we talk all kinds of nonsense. And everybody knows this person is intoxicated. We had one program, and one man who was, I guess, taking lots of drugs. He stood. The sun was rising. We had our morning program, morning practice. And he stood in front of the sun and started jumping as he wanted to catch the sun for some reason. It was very funny, but at the same time we felt really sad because we realized this is actually our position in the material world. We think, oh, I can just jump and catch the sun. In our own intoxication, we think we are so wonderful, we are so great, and I am so amazing, I'm so smart. I got my master's in whatever, mechanical engineering. But in reality, we actually just simply on this bodily platform. And to stop these activities on the bodily platform, it's not so easy. Prabhupada says that some people think that to stop idea that we are on the bodily platform, Prabhupada says they think they have to put themselves on this like Buddhist-like nirvana. Buddhism. They think that everything is made of these elements who are constantly moving. So to understand that you are not this, you just simply stop these activities and you become nothing. That's what it's called, nirvana. Nirvana, nothing. No, vana means forest, so no variety, just stop everything. And somehow you will stop suffering. But this cannot be. Who can sit, try to sit here, of course, here is okay, maybe a little, but go outside in the forest and sit 5 minutes peacefully. Who can do this? Fly comes, mosquito, it's not easy. And then your mind will think, oh, wow, I have to bring my car and somehow fix this and that, and my wife wants me to buy some milk. So many different things we have in our mind. Really, did you ever try to don't think about anything for 3 minutes? Just 3 minutes. Not easy. Anybody try to think nothing for 3 minutes? Nobody. When we chant Hare Krishna in the morning, we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We're supposed to think only, actually not even think, we're supposed to hear the mantra. Very, very difficult because mind is like racing. What I need to eat, how hungry I am, and how did I sleep last night. And very, very difficult. Mind is very turbulent. This explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Mind is so turbulent, Krishna said to Arjuna, it is more difficult than to control the wind. Who can control the wind? How do you catch the wind? Not possible. So how you catch the mind? Very, very difficult. And whoever tried to, student, whoever tried to study, or you try to accomplish something intellectual, knows, very, very difficult. You have to sit there and your mind is going somewhere, and then your mind suddenly doesn't want to study anymore. Like I call it burnout. You just sit there with this book and you look at this black and white and some black thing and you just don't even know what it is.
Because mind is another.
Mind is just not refusing. You know, we have this donkey, and you want to pull the donkey, and he doesn't want to go, and he just stands there. You're pulling, and he just, no, I'm not going. So it's like this. So it's very, very difficult. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada says here, so Prabhupada says, one more example, if the tax collector gives us so much difficulties when we possess a large house, is the solution just to burn the house? Okay, and I don't have a house anymore, I have no problems with the taxes. It's not. The solution is to actually engage in this positive spiritual activities. Positive spiritual activities. And Srila Prabhupada explains a little more that the proof that the body, that we are spirit soul is consciousness. This is a big topic in academia, in science field, in the consciousness. What is consciousness? Without consciousness, things don't move, things don't grow. Spirit makes matter grow. This is a fact. This house will never grow on itself. Maybe it will crumble in due course, but it will never grow because there's nothing alive. There's no spirit soul inside of this house. But we are growing. Our hair is growing all the time. Whatever, nails are growing because there's a spirit soul. The animals wagging their tails. We're just reading recently some famous philosopher in the 17th century. He said, animals are just a machine. There's no soul there. Imagine machine. How can a dog be a machine? If you wave, if you give him food, he will be very happy. If you get a stick, he will be afraid. So machines are not. If I give a food to a computer, he will not be happy. So it's not a machine. So in the same way, we see whatever lives, like a plant or whatever, trees. There was this famous experiment. They put one group of plants in one corner and one group of plants in another corner. And to this group of plants, every day the students are coming and saying, you have wonderful, beautiful plant. You could, how nice leaves you have. Praising the plant and patting the plant. And this plant was growing very lush and very nice. And then they went to the other corner. And they said, you, a horrible plant. You're ugly. Look at yourself. We hate you. And this plant was growing smaller and smaller, and this plant was growing bigger and bigger. So how can non-living thing, how can machines do this? So everything, whatever grows is a spirit. Each plant, it is a spirit soul in there. So this is the point, to actually engage positively in spiritual life. And positive spiritual life means not negation. We have some restriction, but not negation. We don't negate the body. We just said, oh, okay, now we are not eating anymore. We eat once every 6 months. No, we live exactly the same. It's just positively engage in spiritual life. We are married. We are not all monks here. Okay, now we are monks. We don't speak to anybody. We don't go out. We live in caves. Some do.
And yoga.
And yoga. But we do everything. We're married. We eat really well. But all this thing is actually connected to a spiritual activity. Food that we eat is not an ordinary food. We offer it to Krishna, and therefore it's called Krishna Prasadam. And therefore we eat Krishna Prasadam. Of course, we should not just take advantage now and eat huge piles and this is sometimes happens. But the point is that it's a spiritualized food, spiritualized activities. We speak to people, whatever, everything else we do, we sleep, but everything is engaged in spiritual activity of Krishna consciousness. This is what Krishna explains 700 verses in the Bhagavad Gita. That you actually can do your duty. This is a famous verse in India, everybody knows. You're entitled to perform your duty. But the second part, it says, but you should never give up your duty. You should never give up your duty. Dharma. Everybody has to do their own duty. And duty is described in the Vedic scriptures. And if we act accordingly, then our life, even in this life, we will live decent lives. And in the end, we can expect great promotion in the next life. We may not be able to transcend the material energy immediately, but we'll be highly more advanced than this life already. So practicing spiritual life is actually a very nice thing. It is described in Bhagavad Gita, susukham kartumavya. It's very joyfully performed. Sukham means happy, happily performed. But susukham means very happily performed. So this is the very advantages of our Krishna consciousness movement. We were just talking yesterday. I think I was talking to somebody, and we said it's not that we think we are better. We are not. We are not. We are somehow or other we have found this superior knowledge, and we somehow taken advantage of it. It's not like I'm better or than others, or I'm better than the other person. We all in the same pot here in the material world, and somehow or other we have found this very, very wonderful Krishna consciousness. And by practicing this Krishna consciousness properly, as they said here, not just by words. We were reading the other day, Bhakti who knows, the parrot-like repeating will not help. We have these beautiful green parrots from India who somehow living in Cologne, everywhere on the trees. When I first time saw, I was like shocked.
Talking like human.
Yeah, we talk like this. Vrindavan parrots living in Cologne. They're on the trees right there.
Maybe.
So they can repeat also Hare Krishna, Jaya Radha Madhava. But this is a parrot-like repeating. It's nice also. But we should actually practice this with understanding. So when we chant Hare Krishna, we should understand why are we chanting Hare Krishna, and therefore our chanting will have a deeper meaning. And our eating prasadam will have deeper meaning. Of course, tasty is tasty, but we know this is Krishna prasadam, and it's prasadam means mercy of Krishna. It's description. I don't want to go into now how difficult it actually was to eat Mahaprasadam. With Durga Devi, it is described in the Lochandas Goswami book called Chaitanya Mangala, how Durga Devi could not eat Krishna Prasadam. She was very depressed. And somehow or other, the Prasadam fell from Krishna's plate, few drops of rice, and both Shiva and Parvati had the Prasadam, and they were ecstatic. Shiva started dancing, the earth started shaking. Because it's not easy to eat Krishna Prasadam. But by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the other teachers, we have a Krishna Prasadam everywhere. So we should not take it for granted. We have a Hare Krishna mantra, also not take it for granted. We can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya was asked by a devotee, who is a Vaishnava? And Lord Chaitanya answered, whoever chants Hare Krishna once is a Vaishnava. So, like it or not, you became Vaishnavas today. So we all became Vaishnavas today. And now, from this point, we should go further and try to understand what is this chanting, what is this, what Krishna said really in the Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, who is Krishna? Srimad Bhagavatam explains who is Krishna. How to serve Krishna, or how do you relate to Krishna? We're speaking today also how our Krishna consciousness is so refined. It's not so, okay, there's a God, we are there, but there's a so refined relationships with God. The different rasas, the different relationships with Krishna. So there's a plenty of information that we need to get acquainted with, and we should try to understand who Krishna is, what is my position, and what is my duty. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, when one great king, Maharaj Parikshit, was cursed to die within 7 days, to be bitten by a snake, and what did he do? He said, "Wow, let me just go to the bar and spend 7 days in the bar. It's the last 7 days." No, he actually thought, okay, now is actually time to inquire from the sages. What should I do? So went to the river bank of Ganga, and all the sages came, and he asked, what is my duty? What is the duty of a person who is about to die? And indeed, what is the duty of anybody? Because anybody is about to die. Maybe not now, or maybe after 70 years, but it's still. So the whole Srimad Bhagavad is spoken on this premise. What is the duty? What should person do? How do I live this life? How do I live in this material world? So it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us to have all these wonderful books translated by Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace. And we have a Hare Krishna mantra, we have a Hare Krishna temples, we can come, have darshan, have prasadam, offer service. It's like an oasis of the spiritual world. How many times, particularly people from India, they come to temples and say, I'm here in this country so many years and finally I can come here and they can eat Indian food and see the deities, offer obeisances, because they feel this is what I should do, to go to the oasis of the spiritual world. So I think the time is right. I know Pujari is here. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you would maybe like to ask something or... Yes, please.
I'm not sure, but I think somewhere in Bhagavad Gita is said, I don't know in which context, there is someone who has only 7 days to live or something like that.
This is Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes, and he has given a special sadhana in which he can be enlightened within this 7 days. Is this correct?
I did not hear the last sentence.
They gave him, because he had not enough time, he had only 7 days, I think.
Yes.
So his master, he gave him a special sadhana with which he could be enlightened with his short lifespan. Do you know about this incident?
Yes, I know about incident from Srimad Bhagavatam, but he was not given any sadhana. He undertook himself sadhana, which is no eating and no drinking, no sleeping. So don't try it home. But it's not
if it leads to the result.
Yes. If you have 7 days, I recommend. But if you have more than 7 days to live, I do not recommend, because the hospital, the ambulance will come in front of your door and they say, "What did he do? He tried not to eat." Okay, take him to the hospital, put the IV. He actually gave up voluntarily eating and sleeping for this reason, that he did not want to waste time. This was the main reason why did he do this. He did not, because eating is a waste of time, technically speaking, of course.
What did he do instead?
Yes, I'm coming to this. No problem. So because he wanted to use full time. 7 days is many minutes. He wanted to use every minute to hear about the transcendental topics, because hearing a transcendental topic, one can make spiritual progress. So that's what his sages, this one great sage called Shukadeva Goswami, he said and he spoke this great Srimad Bhagavatam, and this was the various processes to attain spiritual perfection, called Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, and so on. And particularly beginning is with hearing. So he wanted to hear as much as possible about the transcendental topics, about Krishna, about how to become a devotee of Krishna, and so on. So therefore he thought, I'm not going to waste time on eating. Eating is over now. Drinking is over. Sleeping is over. I just want to hear. And he heard. And therefore, by this occurrence, we have this great book of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is what it is. This is what he gave himself, this restriction. He restricted all material influences.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much for the lecture. I want to ask you a question.
Please.
Every day we chanting holy name, we listen Srila Prabhupada lecture, listen read Srila Prabhupada book, eat prasadam.
Yes.
We see Krishna, Gauradesh.
Yes.
But why we not understand that we not with what we are spiritual part of Krishna? Why?
This is the... Well, first of all, how long you're practicing? No, I'm just asking.
15 years.
15 years. So, 15 years.
Yeah.
So if somebody would practice 15 years something which is useless, you will not practice it. So just the fact that you're practicing 15 years means that you have some taste, that you have some realization that you're not the body, you have some realization of Krishna. Otherwise, why would you practice? Why would you practice? I mean, imagine somebody tells me I should read chemistry book for next 15 years every day. For me, chemistry was so difficult for me. I would read everything, oh my God, you know. I would not be able to read 15 years chemistry book every day. Same book. The same book. So how can you read the same book, Bhagavad Gita, for 15 years if you don't have this realization? You may not have realization, highest realization, but this highest realization also will come in time. By applying this and by being patient. Patience is very, in India, if you live in India for some time? No. India is a great place to learn patience. And you can see how people are very patient. You know, sometimes not exactly, but especially, you know, when you wait in Mumbai, when you wait for the train or whatever, you know, a little bit impatience going on there. But you learn patience in the sense that you see the people doing the same thing over and over and over again. You see this, you know, the business owners, they make same puri, same kachori every day. I mean, I would be like, man, every day kachori making, you know, they would be driving me crazy, you know. But they do it. And then their son, also, 7 years old, he's selling things, and you know, and he will do this, and he's 7 years old until 70, he will do the same. So you learn these things: patience, tolerance, and perseverance. Was auf Deutsch Perseverance? Nitya? Huh? Durchhalten, ne? Man macht was, man macht eine Dinge wieder und wieder und wieder, das Gleiche. In India, you will really learn these things. Really. This is what I learned in India. Patience. You just have to be patient. So practicing Krishna consciousness, you just know, okay, the goal is there, Krishna promises, and I have a faith that this Krishna is not going to disappoint me. And my end of my life, I practiced 25 years of Krishna consciousness, I think, and then Krishna says, this was all cheating, I cheated you. It's not true. Krishna said, Kauntaya pratijanihi nama bhakta pranashati. That whatever Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he said, I declare the words of my pure devotee are never in vain. So if Prabhupada says he's pure devotee of Krishna, the chanting Hare Krishna mantra, following the principles, practicing Krishna consciousness will bring us to the desired goal. It will happen. And we also know this, we have realizations. After 15 years, you have some realizations. It's not like it's like now, you know, go after 15 years you want to smoke a cigarette. You know, it's not happening. Not happening. So patience, enthusiasm, and just keep on going. In Deutschland, in Germany, there was this great Sankirtan mantra: einfach weitermachen. Simply go on, weitermachen, continuation. And again, I learned this in India so much. People just do the same thing over and over. There was this one, I was once in Mayapur, and there was a line, at that time Mayapur was a little more simpler, many years ago. Now it's like a big city. But there was one, they were selling some, you know, pani puri, I don't know, something like this. You know, so I thought, I wanted to take some pani puri.
It's a little
yeah.
potato and some
liquid in it. So I wanted to get some, and there was one man, there was one boy, like Western boy in front of me, and before him was some older man with beard. And this young boy, he was maybe 19, 20. And he, you know, devotees, they meet and they say, where are you from? Who is your guru? You know. So he asked this older man with beard, who is your guru? Where are you from? And he said, I'm from such and such village here in the area, Mayapur. And he said, who is your guru, Maharaj? And the man said, my guru is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And we were all shocked, you know, the disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta. And he was just waiting in line, just like everybody else. And actually he was invited as a special guest to speak on Prabhupada's disappearance because he knew Prabhupada. And then later on, when this ceremony was there, and all VIP guests, and he was actually one of the VIP guests. But he was a very simple man, very humble. And he said, my Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, told me, you are useless for preaching. He says, he told me, stay here and worship this deity. And here I am, 72 years later, I'm still worshiping the same deity. 72 years.
My God, how can possible?
I was like, shh, I could not be. 72 years, same Gauradesh, he worships the Gauradesh. Every day, going to the Ganga, bring the water, cook for the deities, abhishek, everything. 72 years. So
His
this
life,
is,
one life.
yes, so this is the great lesson. Hare Krishna. Okay, Rish Kumar Prabhu, Pujari kommt? Oh, here, Pujari ist da. Okay, dann, thank you very much, ich bedanke mich und für die Aufmerksamkeit und Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Hare Krishna,